So we can actually start by talking about that. Oh, it says it's live. So our Hangout's live. Thanks for joining the office hour on the Adopt programs. I'm Heather Van Cura, and we have a few other leaders here live on the call. And for you watching the broadcast, we'll turn on the chat feature too. Bruno Souza was just telling us a little bit about the 20 Days of Java tour that just finished in Brazil. So maybe, Bruno, you want to just share a little bit about that so we can capture it here, the 20 Days of Java events that you did around Brazil in June and July?
Okay. Hopefully my connection is good enough. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us here, and I think it's very good that we're able to talk a little bit about Java's groups and the JCP working together to improve the future of Java. We are in the 20 years of Java right now, and so there's a lot of 20-somethings related to Java, and we decided to do, with support of a lot of people, we decided to do the 20 Days of Java in Brazil, and it was a big tour done around Java 1 Brazil. That happened about a month ago. And so we did basically a week and a half before Java 1 and then a week and a half after Java 1. We traveled to 17 Java user groups around the country. Lots of traveling by car, some traveling by airplane. Dozens of hotels, and we also had a lineup of birthday cakes celebrating the 20 years of Java. It was a pretty amazing trip. It was supported by Oracle, that's helped us out with a lot of things. It was also supported by Jelastic, that's also paid part of this trip, and it was pretty nice. We travel, we visit basically one Java group each day. And we had presentation about cloud computing, about the future of Java, presentation about Java 8 and Java 9. We had some very nice, good speakers. I joined the tour for a good part of it. We also had Edson Yanaga, that's a great speaker here in Brazil. It's a cloud computing speaker. And he joined us also for a big part of the tour. We also had Bruno Borges from Oracle and Steve Chin that came from the U.S. That was part of was one of the speakers also. And we also had Otávio Santana, that's works with us here in the JCP in Java, and he joined for a good part of the tour also. And another international speaker that we had was Ruslan Sinitsky from Jelastic. So he came for part of the tour too. So we had all those people kind of traveling around the country and visiting user groups. In each place we had either pizza or cake, depending on which part of the tour it was. So in the first half of the tour we had pizza in every user group. On the second part of the tour we had cakes in every user group. It was a little bit of some different ideas that the user groups had to celebrate the 20 years of Java, and it was pretty rough in a way because it's very tiring, but it was very satisfying because we made lots of friendships, met a whole lot of good people. It was an amazing experience.
Mm-hmm. That sounds amazing. We were just talking about maybe there's some other regions that we want to celebrate together and do a little road tour for the 20 Days of Java, since the big focus this year obviously is celebrating the 20-year anniversary, so that's very cool. So we'll see what we can put together in some other areas in the future. If any of you have any ideas for some 20 Days of Java celebrations, let us know. I have the questions turned on, so if anybody has questions, you can chime in there. So the other thing that I don't see any questions. The other thing that we had started to talk about was kind of what are we planning for Java 1 around the JCP and Adopt-a-JSR and that kind of thing. So I can give you a little bit of the highlights now that we started talking about. which is on Sunday before Java 1 is the Java User Group Sunday. Traditionally, we have the keynotes and Java User Group Sunday in the afternoon. So Bruno and I were just discussing that this year, again, we'll go ahead and do the Sunday meeting, the EC public meeting for developers to attend and meet the EC members and have a little bit of networking time in the evening before some of the evening activities start. So we'll do that. Monday evening is the JCP party, so that's a go again this year. We'll be in the same location as we were last year at the Hilton. Also, we'll have the Hacker Garden going on in the pavilion area, so we'll have some cool projects there for people to work on throughout the week. And we also had discussed maybe we'll do, if you can't attend in person, we'll do some interviews on the stage with Stephen. So people can join in and see what's going on throughout the week. Then we'll have like our meeting room all week, so when people are there, if you want to get together, meet with me or other spec leads can meet with their expert groups. We'll have a meeting room at the Hilton throughout the week. And Wednesday we do, now it's the third year, so we call it the annual meet and greet, which is a smaller gathering Wednesday evening before the Oracle Appreciation event. Just a chance to kind of talk in a small group with spec leads and some of the EC members and Java user group leaders, Adopt-a-JSR leaders. So those are the things in the works right now for Java 1, which is coming up in just over 2 months now. So plans are still coming together, but that's the overview. And what did I miss, Bruno?
Yeah, there's one more thing. Is right before Java 1, we're gonna do Saturday this time. We're gonna have the traditional barbecue at Steve's house. So last year we did it Friday, and some people didn't arrive yet. But this year we're gonna do Saturday in the evening at 5 o'clock. So if you're coming for Java 1, you know, and even if you just arrive Saturday afternoon, you still have time to hop into Steve's house. Actually, his house is pretty close to the airport, so maybe if you're just coming in on Saturday, you could just go directly to his house before coming to San Francisco. That could be a good idea. And we're working out transportation, things like that. So invite everyone to join.
Yep, that'll be a good time. So Saturday is actually the Java 1 for Kids event during the day, and I'll be helping out with that with Stephen. And then, yeah, at his house Saturday night, the barbecue. I think we're still putting together the formal Eventbrite where you need to RSVP, but that'll be a good time. And I'm also looking into renting a bus so we can get some people down from the city that don't have other transportation. So,
right.
Yes, that's a very exciting event. Left out.
And Heather, one thing we could try to do is maybe since not everyone can come to Java 1, maybe we could try to do at least the JCP public meeting. Maybe we could just kind of put a Hangouts like a computer, just kind of streaming the Hangout the meeting online. So some other people could join in online if they could, if they want.
Yeah, we can try that. Okay. I'll add that to my list.
Heather, great minds think alike. I think we suggested this just before Bruno joined, I think.
Oh,
yeah, we talked about the Hacker Garden. Yeah, so from the Hacker Garden, kind of inviting people in there. So yeah, we'll look throughout the week of ways we can pull people in. The internet connection is not always as reliable, but so you never know. But we can try at least to get more people to be able to participate and listen in here. All the different activities. Yeah.
Heather, can you not get a hardwired internet connection for yourself for doing this? Like.
Well, for Java User Group Sunday, I don't know. We have to see. It's all still coming together. So.
Or even probably a separate Wi-Fi connection for organizers. And you could be one of the organizers. Well, on the organizers' Wi-Fi.
Well, one thing we could do is maybe we could just rent a 4G, you know, from you know, just our 4G dongle that we could rent just for that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll look into it. We'll see what we come up with. What it's going to be. We might even have a hardwire in the room. So let's just wait. We'll see. So any other suggestions or anything from the audience in terms of things you want to see happening at Java 1 related to Adopt-a-JSR and the JCP and no? Okay. So we got enough items on my to-do list anyway. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for more details about Java 1. But actually, there's been a lot going on, as Bruno started talking about over the last couple of months. Developers celebrating 20 years of Java, starting to get more involved in Adopt-a-JSR, and Manny and I were at DevOps UK, where we did a lot of activities around Adopt OpenJDK. We did a virtual jug session and a couple of live in-person sessions. We had an Adopt Summit the day before DevOps UK started. So we got Alan, you were actually there, so you had the opportunity to participate in person, which was great to meet you. Lots of other Java user group leaders as well, so I appreciate those of you that came. And also the spec leads that kind of shared some of their wishes, and evangelists. So David, the evangelist, one of the evangelists at Oracle on Java EE, shared some of the things that a few of the spec leads are looking for in terms of feedback at this point for some of the Java EE specs that are currently in development for Java EE 8. So I put a few links from those things in the showcase. If you're watching the live broadcast, you can find some of those links there. That's Manny's content, as well as some of the content from the spec leads, and then a link from Richard Warburton, who put together some things around how to run your own hack day, so some tips and pointers. So if anybody has any questions on Adopt-a-JSR, we can share that. I thought maybe, Manny, you could kind of walk through. I put in the Hangout as well that adoption wiki from Adopt OpenJDK. So the page that the adoption group had put together, I think Dalibor posted it last month, just giving some guidelines for Java user groups and what they can do if they want to help out with JDK 9. I know the Silicon Valley Jug just had a really successful event with that in July. So maybe you want to give a little bit more context around that, Manny, or?
Are you talking about the JDK 9 outreach?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so yes, the JDK 9 outreach is available on the wiki, the OpenJDK wiki, which is the new one, and not the old one, which is on the java.net. But this is a separate one, which is on wiki.openjdk.java.net. And Dalibor has spent a lot of time basically going through various categories of changes and removals and additions and all the different things you need to know about the new release of JDK 9, which is still in early access edition and not, well, it's going to be ready sometime next year, we hope. It's going to be feature complete by November. So there are some tips that you could use when you're trying to build or use JDK 9 for your projects, and a lot of those are outlined here on this page. So I'm going to stick that link. Where would you want me to put that link, Heather? Can I add that to the showcase?
Yes, you can add it to the showcase.
Okay, I don't see
a little yellow tag.
Yeah, I have opened up the showcase, but I don't see it allowing me to add anything.
Okay, why don't you push in the blue chat window and I can.
Yes, why don't I put it there? Maybe you allowed to add. So that's the JDK 9 outreach page. Actually, in addition to that, I would also like to point out that both Dalibor and Rory O'Donnell, who heads the test department, has put together another page called Quality Outreach, which is also an interesting one because that's the one that monitors all the open source projects that that the Java developers use on a day-to-day basis. Not all of them, but many of them, and they have been building their projects on various early access editions of Java, namely Java 7 update 80, Java 8 update 60, and Java 9 B75, and they've also shared their CI link with the outreach program. If they haven't shared the link, they might be running them on our Adopt build farm, which is on CloudBees. I can share the link to that as well.
Yeah, maybe you could share the link to that, and I think that might not be currently up to date either. I think that needs to be
No,
updated.
that is an ongoing process. I am working on that one, and you can understand I'm sometimes I need extra help with these because there's a lot of communication that's required. So interesting that you bring this to our notice is that what I want to appeal to the community is to have a look at the testing outreach program that the Adopt OpenJDK runs, and I've put together a page on the Getting Started kit, which I will share in a second, because that outlines the process in which you go through the various different outreach programs run by OpenJDK group, by the JCP, and where you should report if there's a problem and what you should do to build your projects. And if you need help, we can set one up on the CloudBees Jenkins server as well. So let me share that link, because that is very important that people know how to go about with this. I will soon come out with something that will help DevOps people or people who do these builds on continuous integration servers or maybe locally on their machine. It would be in the form of scripts, possibly or Vagrant and Docker versions as well. But just now, these are manual steps you need to go through to get your project built under one of the early access editions of Java 9, and possibly other early access editions of Java 8, and maybe the last build of Java 7. So I've posted a number of links. I haven't put a text against them, but when you open them up, you'll see what those links represent. And the most important one is the last one, because that links to the other links that I just posted earlier. So that's the Testing Java Early project, which is a project run under the Adopt OpenJDK program. And this is fairly important because we want to test all our work under Java 9 to see is it Java 9 build, Java 9 runtime compliant, way before Java 9 is going to be ready. So if there are any issues that needs to be shared with the community or with the OpenJDK team, then that can be done now by testing it out, rather than reporting it much later when Java 9 is released. So this will help the community, the developers, and the OpenJDK team, of course, the JCP as well. So that's it from me. Other than that, I don't have much to share, and this is fairly a lot of information, anyways, for all those who are listening.
Yes, so I added those links, Manny, in the showcase, so you should be able to find those things.
Are you adding titles against them as well, or?
They automatically bring out the title from the top, so like the one says Quality Outreach, OpenJDK.
Oh, perfect.
So the other one was the suggestions from the adoption group on OpenJDK. And then earlier in the call, I added on the top a link to the Java EE Adopt-a-JSR page. So that has all of the EE JSRs with links to where you can go get ideas of things from that specific JSR. And then I also posted some links from some of the presentations in the last couple of months that we've had with spec leads on some of those JSRs. So with their specific suggestions for right now and a little bit of overview, like for example, in London we had the CDI2 spec lead, Antoine, he gave some suggestions, and then we had David who gave some suggestions on MVC and JSON, I believe, and kind of a few more overarching things from Java EE 8. And then we also had I had a couple of recorded calls with Ed Burns, who leads the JSF spec and the servlets, next version of servlets. So he had put together a few slides with suggestions of what he's looking for right now. And then I also had the JSON P spec lead. So JSR 374, that's the one that actually just published their early draft this week. We did a presentation with the spec lead on that one a couple months ago. So there's slides from that. That's the one we did I think we did an online meeting. It was recorded. So if you want to actually listen to that one, you still can. You can find that on I guess it's on the YouTube page of recordings if you wanted to listen to that.
Okay, where are the showcase links again?
The showcase should be the yellow tag.
Yes, I did click on that. I don't see any of the new links that you added.
You know what? That's because you're on the live call. So that's
right. Okay.
Shows up. So it'll show up in the recording. So as soon as this will be published as a recording, and you'll be able to find it there. But yes, I guess the folks who are with me here on this live, you can only see the chat window. So everyone should be able to see Manny's links in the chat. You won't see most of the links I mentioned because I added them beforehand in the showcase.
Sure. Yeah, and if you have any questions about the links that I posted, feel free to ask them, because you guys represent a group of developers in a communities, and it's fairly important that you understand what this means so that you can propagate it downwards to the end developers and the community members, so that at least one person from each community can do something about it and help the adopt program, which is for everybody and not just a set number of people.
Yes. Yeah, so folks can still, if you can't find what you're looking for, follow up with me online. Like I know since we started talking, David joined from Paraguay, and Raman from Istanbul, and Thomas from Greece. So we've been chatting quite a bit. Oh, and Octavia joined as well. Welcome. So yeah, we've been talking a lot over the last couple months here and there over email and some via Skype and Hangouts, kind of getting you started. And I know you've already kind of dug into some of the JSR work that we talked about. So any questions from you or things that you want to share with us on the call right now? If you have questions, you can put them in the chat, or you can just unmute and share here. Like I know, for instance, with the Paraguay Jug, you're actually starting your user group as well as getting involved in Adopt-a-JSR, so getting quite active. So if you have any questions, let me know. In Istanbul Jug, I know you've been participating in the JMS discussions, which is great to see. I know that the spec lead really appreciates your feedback.
Heather, I've noticed that pretty much everybody is on mute unless they've done it by themselves, or have you set them on mute? So if they're speaking something, we won't be able to hear.
Yeah, it's just like you, Manny. You can mute and unmute yourself. So.
Okay, so they've just...
I've done it on purpose.
Okay, got it. Because Heather's been asking questions and nobody answered, so I thought they're on mute.
Well, sometimes people are in an environment where they can't speak or it's noisy in the background, so I don't take it personally if you don't answer. And then, yeah, Raman, you told me you don't have a question right now. So, yeah, not trying to put you on the spot. Just want to welcome you and encourage you to share anything if you have anything to share. Or any questions. That was really kind of the purpose of today, is kind of share some success, and if you're at a point where you need some help, ask questions and let us know, or if there's information that you want that you can't find, so that we can go back and get it for you. And then in the beginning, we talked a little bit about some upcoming events, Java One in San Francisco being the largest one coming up, that the JCP has a lot of activities we participate in and try to get lots of members from the international Java developer community to participate in, and have plenty of opportunities for people in person there to interact with us and get the information that they need, and have a chance to meet with the spec leads that are attending and the evangelists, as well as some informal downtime to have during the parties and kind of informal social gatherings that happen throughout the week.
Heather, I was just going to ask, are you going to hold this once in a month or once a fortnight? What is the plan? I'm talking about this session.
We do another one in September, I think. That would be good.
Okay, and then we can share all the community activities on this one and have questions asked and everything.
Yes, so I gave kind of an overview because a lot of the plans are still coming together, so verbally I shared what I think the plan's going to be, but by next month we should have everything published on a page that I can point you to, so you can add everything into your calendar. And then I follow up too on some of the kind of virtual participation stuff that we brainstormed a little bit on earlier in the call.
Yeah, I have a question, and it's to all the JUG leaders and members here. Are you aware of the Adopt OpenJDK Getting Started Kit, and have you had the chance to share this with your community so they could do this either at a hack day or a evening event, or they could do it offline at home and then get help from you? This is currently available in 2 languages, Portuguese and English, and there are other languages being worked on. So, and in fact, if you want to translate it in the language of your own choice, you could do that as well. So I'm going to just post the link, but it's a question to all of you, and if you have been doing something about it, then that's great. You can come back to us and feedback on the mailing list. But otherwise, if you have any questions about it, on how to use it or how to go about with it, then this is a nice opportunity to answer, or you can also get back to me offline via the discussion group or Twitter or any other media.
I'll go on a limb here and ask, do you have someone translating in Romanian or not just yet?
No, not just yet. So do you want to take that on and translate that into Romanian if you want to?
I could try to jumpstart that.
Yeah, that'll be great, because yeah, that'll help us also find out how clear it is. Also, it's very easy to do that because all you do is you clone the GitHub repo, you create another folder called RM, if that's the abbreviation for Romanian, and you just row, and then you add the language to the list of languages, and then just start translating the pages, and the book will be ready for you. So it's very easy. Yeah. Why don't you go doing that? But also, better would be, I'm thinking most Romanian developers speak English and read and write English.
They kind of do. They do.
But yeah, so I think it's to encourage all the ones who might be on the borderline of not understanding many English words. So that would be great. But the most important would be if you could have them go through that flow offline, meaning I know you might be having people living in various towns and cities all across the country, and sometimes it's hard to get them all together in the same place. So if you could say, here's the getting started kit, here's how you go and start with it, and then come back to me and say if you've been successful or not, and if you've had problems, then I can help you solve it. And that way different people can work on the same exercises or processes, and at different time zones or different periods, and then they all get the results of what we are trying to share with everybody without having to bring them together under one roof. And eventually, when the interest increases, you can bring them together maybe at a conference or at a hack day that you hold in your region.
Yeah. Okay.
So that, and this is quite tried and tested one, because the document has been constantly evolved for quite some time, and you've seen it yourself at the summit at Devox. This has made life easy, and there are just a few more things that I need to do. I'm not finding time to do that. Maybe in a month's time, and then we can progress to the next level of things like trying out projects like Project Kula, the Valhalla project, then doing some more interesting things like working with G1GC to see if we could come up with ways to gather statistics for that. And then we will need help from experts and more experienced people in the community, because that's it's a hardcore subject on itself. There's also the Testing Java Early project, which can get very interesting. It's just I have not introduced some of the ideas in the Git book, but when that will be ready to be shared with everybody, then that's another thing that you could do. And there's a lot of additional knowledge and skills you gather from doing this, like mostly automation and DevOps related. And this is a great opportunity to do that.
When you're saying testing the JDK early, do you mean testing the features, like developing a test application against the new features and see if they work correctly or not? Or do you mean something like automated tests that run on, I don't know, something like specs, unit tests, and so on?
Okay, that's an interesting feedback because that is a subset of testing Java early, but most primarily what we mean by testing Java early is the JDK 9 early access edition is available on java.net download site, which you probably all have access to, and every fortnight there is a update. The most recent one is probably B75. I might have the number wrong, but and what you do is you download the JDK, and if you have a continuous integration server already, then you create a JDK entry in there, and you make all your projects point to that entry, and then your projects are built probably every hour or fortnightly or every week. And when the build kicks in, it'll use that JDK to start the build, run all the tests using the build, which means it'll be running your application using the JDK 9 runtime. And then possibly if you do performance tests, then you would use the same JDK. So by doing this, you're making sure your application is JDK 9 compliant, both from the build and runtime perspectives. You see, so it's not just writing features, which is yet another level. So maybe then you start looking at, so it's like existing applications that have never used any Java 9 features, but they run and build fine on Java 6, 7, 8, maybe even 5. But now you want to check, do they work on Java 9? Because we're using the same configuration and setup of Java 6, 7, 8, and 9 need not necessarily work on Java 9. I'll give you an example. If you know the permgen is, the permgen flag or permgen is deprecated in Java 8. But in Java 9, if you still use that same flag, it will not give you a warning, but it will trip your runtime and it will crash and bring you back to your command prompt. Now that is something that you need to avoid using in Java 9 totally. So you cannot pass in a max permgen size flag in your Java opt or in your environment variables in Java 9, but it is okay to pass it in Java 8, where you'll only get a warning saying this flag has been deprecated, we are not using it. Whereas in Java 9, that's not the case. And that's just one example. And there's a lot of discussion about the unsafe. There's a lot of discussion of other features. And you want to make sure that any of those things that have been removed in Java 9 is not affecting your project, both at build time and runtime. So the simplest thing you can do is set up a continuous integration server, which is something similar to what we have done on CloudBees. I posted the link already on the group chat section, and make your project point to the latest version of JDK 9 early access. And that's the simplest first step towards testing Java 9. So by doing that, you're testing both your application and you're testing the JDK for backward compatibility. So that's the simplest answer. And then what you said is in addition to that. What you said is more like taking Java 9 specific features and testing them out. Yes, we would definitely love help on that as well. But most importantly is to see if your existing projects, which don't use any Java 9 features, are building under the JDK 9 early access build and also running in the runtime environment without any problems.
All right. And then there's another aspect to this in terms of testing the JDK 9 early, because someone might understand that you're talking about the unit tests that run against the JDK itself.
Yes, you could do that as well, but that is not testing your applications then.
Right. No, it's just testing
testing JDK itself. But those tests may not be sufficient in terms of validating that if they all pass, the JDK 9 is fine for you in your environment. You see, because today we run Java not just on our desktops, not just on our servers, not just on our laptops, but also in containers, in virtualized environments. And those environments may behave differently with Java running on them, or Java may behave differently with Java running in those environments. And you also want to test your applications in those environments. So that's why the work that I'm going to submit later on in at least another few weeks' time, or maybe after that, is going to be based on trying to encourage people to build, test, and run their applications in these environments, but using the early access edition of Java, which you can already do now by setting up a continuous integration server like CloudBees or Jenkins in your local environment, or using using a CloudBees account. But you'll have to set up all of the things of downloading the latest version of the JDK early access and building your applications using that, running all your tests using that, and then running, if there are any performance tests, running that, and if there are any other kinds of things that you use to run your application. But all of them will be done using the latest JDK 9 early access edition.
Okay.
Yeah, so what you said has got multiple aspects, but we're initially asking you to just start with the binary, download the binary and do that. The testing of the other things, they're already been done by vendors like Oracle and IBM and Red Hat and SAP and other people within their own environments. And only when they pass those tests is a JDK binary made available to the public. But after a binary has been made available to the public, we still want to use it to see, do our applications still run in those environments?
Right.
So, I mean, it's a good thing to go and read that last link that I sent. If that link does not propagate the message clearly, then let me know, because it's important. The information is simple to understand, and you know what the focus is. And I will also mention the other things in that page, so that you know that the primary focus is to download the JDK and hook it up with your build continuous integration server. The secondary purposes can be all the other things you mentioned, which is great to do as well, and we want feedback for those things as well. But the primary purpose is to test the JDK binary is compatible and works for us.
All right, will do.
Okay.
Good questions, Al. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad it turns out you could stay, Alan. So
Yeah,
there's a new question that came up from Octavio, which is, and maybe Octavio, you want to speak to some of these, but there's other JSRs that would be really great for you to get involved in. So some of the Java E8 ones that I mentioned, like CDI 2.0, that's JSR 365. I know Antoine is really eager to get people involved with that JSR, and then there's also a few standalone JSRs I know that Octavio has been quite involved in, which are the JSR 363, the Units of Measurement API, and a JSR 377, which is the Desktop and Embedded Application API. Those are both in the early phases of development in the JCP and can use your help and participation. And then there's also the JSR 354, which recently went final, the Money and Currency API, and I think Octavio is still involved in building some applications with that. You want to speak to any of that, Octavio, in terms of your participation and what you think people can do now that might be the most helpful?
Hi everyone, Bruno, Heather. Yes, I believe it's wonderful to participate on some specification, and our specification are on GitHub, so you can participate in many ways. That include documentation, code, put more testing. Uh, Everyone is welcome in this specification.
So I can put some links. So the JSR 377. So you can go to any of the JSRs when you go to their page on jcp.org. You just enter in the number, and there near the top of the page you can find links to their public project and also to their issue tracker and their communications forum. So if you click on the link like I just sent out the one for 377, so the public project page has links to the GitHub, and same thing with 363, the units of measurement API, so I send that out to you. And then the earlier page that I added, the Java EE page, is like a collection of the list of Java EE 8 JSRs and links to each of their pages, and then once you go to the JSR page, you can find links to their repository, so where they're keeping their source code, where they have their spec and their RI development, where they have their issue tracker, and where they have their public discussion forum that you can add your comments once you've had a chance to look at some of the material. So especially the JSRs that are in early stages, it's very helpful to just give your initial feedback. Let the spec leads know what you think of kind of the direction of the conversation, some of the features that they're thinking about adding. If you have any particular use cases for that technology, it's a good time to add them there, so that they can be sure that they're thinking about the way that developers are currently using the technology. So those are things that can be the most helpful at this point. As things get a little bit further along with the EE specs and some of the standalone specs, you can also download the sample early access RI and start doing some testing against it, or build some sample applications, or in your user group organize a small hack day and do the testing there and put your feedback into the issue tracker. So any other questions at this point, or comments on that other people want to add to what I just said? Let's see if there are any more questions here. When can we use OpenJDK 9 compact profiles? I don't have an answer to that question. I don't know, Manny, if you have any insight into that.
Second. Sorry, I muted myself. So the way it's going to be is JDK 9 itself will remove the necessity for compact profiles. Compact profiles was a cheap way to get kind of modularization. So I'm thinking when they will release the feature complete in November, we will be able to work with a version there where we can build our own modules and our own JImage that will be much smaller than the regular ones, and then you can bundle that with our own runtime, which will be much smaller than the JRE we bundle our applications with, and that's when you will not need the use of compact profiles anymore. Don't quote me on this yet. We'll have to still wait till JDK 9 is feature complete. And I'm thinking one of the versions of JDK Early Access, I don't know what number it is, from some conversation I know, should be bundled with JMod and JLink, which is necessary to build your own modules. And maybe when that happens, you'll be able to come up with your own compact profile-like image and distribute it with your clients. I don't know if this answers your question, but wait for community news when that happens. It should happen pretty soon. Again, I don't know what pretty soon means, but when JDK 9 is feature complete, I'm sure by then we should have some idea of how to do that. But even before that, one of the early access releases should have this. In fact, if at all the next release has it, because I'm kind of investigating every time there is a new one, then I will send out a message on the Adoption Discuss group. I don't know if you're a member of it. I would highly recommend to become a member of this mailing list, which has topics about OpenJDK all the time. I've posted the name of the mailing list. I'll just post the address to it, just in case you don't know where it is. But also there is a feedback page on the Getting Started Kit, which will also help you with it. I'm going to quickly find that and post it so you know where to go. So I just posted a link under the group chat section. If you can see it, I'll also post it under, I'm hearing some beeps, which means that there are people who are messaging us on our regular Google chat. just for the benefit of those, I will also post it there.
Yeah, Manny, I see your links, and then some people are saying that they don't have questions or that kind of thing. So I think I already posted the getting started kit, and then the OpenJDK JDK9 outreach page has links for the. So that's from the adoption group of OpenJDK. So you can join the mailing list for the adoption group, and that's probably the best way to kind of stay up to date in terms of when you can see certain things, right, or things that are coming or what's in that release. I think the best way is just to stay informed and watch the mailing list. So that's the way to be involved. And unfortunately, there's not it's not production schedule like this is when you're going to have access to this and that. It's evolving over time. So I think that your suggestion of what you said, Manny, is just to stay
stay glued onto that mailing list. Yes.
Yeah. The best thing to do.
Yeah, and one of these days, which should be soon, we should have a binary where we can find out, where we can use to create our own images and create our own modules, and that could be the start of the experiment of compact profiles. I hope this answers the question to whoever asked it, because I couldn't find the question itself. How did you get this question, Heather? Was it directly sent to you?
Yes, so that was from Raman, and that was in the Hangout, the broadcast version of Hangout. So since I am a host of that, I see those questions, and so when you're watching the recording, it will be the featured question. So I think it will be showing up in text format when you watch the recording. So those were the two questions from the broadcast that I had, and I didn't see any other questions sent to me personally or in the group chat of this Hangout. So I'll just, if anyone else has a final question, or if I missed your question for whatever reason in any of those messaging forums, let me know. So we can, or the other thing is, if you don't have any questions, if you have anything you want to share with the group, you can do that now. As we mentioned a little bit earlier on, we'll do another group chat session sometime in September, and I'll share a little bit more about our plans for Java 1 then. So Java 1 takes place the end of October. So whether you can participate virtually or in person, we'll have some options for you.
Heather, you want to talk about upcoming conferences where OpenJDK or Adopt-a-JSR is going to be featured in some form or shape, either a lightning talk or a workshop or a hands-on session? I know there's Devoxx coming up in November, but there's probably conferences in between now and Devoxx.
Yeah, there's a conference actually the end of this month happening in Mexico, Java Mexico Day. So I'm planning on being there, and we're exploring doing some hands-on activities there as well. It's a one-day event. So that will be happening August the 29th. So if we do any kind of remote participation, I'll let you know. Or if you're planning on attending, let me know. I'll meet you there. We just finished a couple of Jug visits in Canada, so that was fun. Talked a lot about Adopt-a-JSR and how we can get some of the Canadian Java user groups involved. And in September, there is a JCertif event in Congo. So we'll be supporting that event and have some activities around Adopt-a-JSR, so the JCertif in Congo. So that's happening September 23rd. So Reza will be there, as well as Patrick. So those are the ones I'm aware of. As I mentioned earlier, we had the Silicon Valley Jug Hack Day happening in July. I think they're planning on doing another Hack Day and sharing their results. So if people have other events that you're participating in that you want to let me know about that I can share, you can do that here in the chat or offline with me. Ping me. Let me know.
Yeah, if there are any Adopt OpenJDK events that people can attend, like at conferences, I'll post them on the mailing list. Heather, are you listening to the Adoption Discuss mailing list messages, or are you not on it?
I think I am on it. I think I was on it. Maybe my current email is not on it. I should check. I think I was on it at one point.
Okay, I mean it's important. It's important you sign up to that, because if there are messages that are Adopt OpenJDK related, then you'll get them, and you can use them as a discussion or divert them to user groups or Jug leaders themselves.
Yes. Okay, well, I look into that. So thanks everybody for joining. I didn't get any more questions in the chat, so we'll go ahead and end the meeting. I really appreciate you joining and sharing what's been happening and asking your questions. So I hope that you found this helpful, and stay tuned for our next event, which will be happening in September. Thanks. Talk to you next time.
Thanks, Heather. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye, Bruno.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining.